Well, good morning.
Good morning.
And warm shalom from the University of Central Florida Judaic Studies program. Hanson, Judaic Studies. Hanson, Judaic Studies. Yes, indeed. I am Dr. Ken Hanson, also known by my moniker. I am Jerusalem Jones. Consummate adventurer and world traveler that I am. As I make my way back and forth across the vast stretches of the Middle East, from Jerusalem down to Egypt, across Mediterranean lands and places in between. Folks, if this hat could talk, the stories it would tell. But in all seriousness, I do have the very distinct privilege and high honor of being the world's only red-headed fellow of Scandinavian extraction, Hanson, who is also a scholar of the Jewish people, the Hebrew language, and the Dead Sea Scrolls. Go figure. They're always coming up to me asking, Dr. Hanson, whatever was it that propelled you, nice Scandinavian guy from Chicago, to venture into this particular field of inquiry, this discipline? And invariably I chalk it up to a very rare, virtually extinct animal as we're now heading full ahead into the 21st century. Maybe you've heard of this? Intellectual curiosity. Vaguely heard of intellectual curiosity. Just a bit of a backstory. I was once upon a time a pre-law student at the University of Illinois, Chicago. History major, political science minor. When it dawned on me one fine day, it is just possible that the world has enough lawyers. And coming to that realization, what, pray tell, do you do with a history degree? Well, our professors were always encouraging us to zoom in our gaze, our focus, our attention on one particular aspect of world history, it being the great pageant that it is. Narrow your focus. Become a specialist. Well, I just let my intellectual curiosity lead me where it will, believe it or not. I wanted to understand who we are as members of Western civilization, where we came from, what makes us tick, intellectually, spiritually. So I decided to go back to the seedbed of all civilization and the birthplace of three great religions and world cultures: Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, the ancient Near East. And a little swath of territory nestled along the eastern shore of the Mediterranean Sea, the land of Israel. So what did I do? While still a senior in college, I picked up bag and baggage one day, hopped on an eastbound plane for Tel Aviv, having never before ventured out of the continental United States, save for a single afternoon in Tijuana. And I plunked myself down in the midst of an entire culture of sights and sounds, cuisine, totally foreign to my Chicago-bred sensibilities. Had a letter, all penned to my parents, announcing my imminent return to the States. Dear Mom, that's what I wrote. Coming home, can't take it. Send money immediately. A massive, massive culture shock. And I never quite mailed it. I'd come halfway around the world to study, and that's what I decided to do. I enrolled in a little nondescript school for Americans, nestled among the trees right here on Mount Zion. How would you like to live on Mount Zion? What a trip. Just an evening stroll away from the last vestige of the ancient temple that once stood in this city. It's called the Wall. Actually, we call it Hakotel, the Western Wall. Just take an evening stroll down the wall. Sure. What a place to live. And here is that wall. And of course, the great golden dome that occupies the site of the ancient temple to this day. The Dome of the Rock. This is my stopping ground. And right over here, a grayish dome, can barely make it out. That, I can tell you archaeologically, is the place where Jesus of Nazareth was crucified and laid to rest. It's called the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. All within easy walking distance. What a city to live in, and wouldn't it be nice if we could all just get along? Wouldn't that be nice? Judaism, Christianity, Islam, all here. I threw myself into my studies, and that was how I conquered the culture shock. It was the only way, let me tell you. But it's almost like a virus that infects you and just takes over. And I was hooked. I was absolutely hooked. This is the school where I studied, on Mount Zion. Looking out over the valley, the ancient valleys. And we weren't just sitting in the library. We were out in the field on a weekly basis, rummaging through the archaeology, the ancient sites. And all the while, I was determining to learn the Hebrew language. You know, Hebrew is the only language on earth that went into suspended animation for about 2,000 years and was then revived as a modern tongue. You learn modern Hebrew, and you can pick up the Hebrew Scriptures, the Bible. Even the Dead Sea Scrolls were composed right out here and just cut up with them like a newspaper. Absolutely phenomenal. And during my studies, I discovered that there was one ancient scroll, just fragments of it in particular, found out in those ruins. We're talking about a fragment 2,000 years old, composed long before my native English even existed. And imagine living in that land and learning the Hebrew language, modern Hebrew, and you can pick that up and start reading. Now, why am I pointing out this fragment of the many thousands that were found out there? Because it's the oldest example in the world of Jewish mysticism. Jewish mysticism. Maybe you've heard of it. It's called Kabbalah. Kabbalah. And that's a fragment 2 millennia old that is all over this. What is Kabbalah? What does the word mean? And whom might we ask? Well, and Brittany's in on it too. The word itself means received. That which is received. And to show you how much Hebrew has been stable over 2 millennia, today you go to the store, you buy something in Jerusalem or Tel Aviv, you get a little piece of paper, and it's called a Kabbalah. It's a receipt. Just an ordinary Hebrew word. Kabbalah. I thought I'd say Kabbalah. You want to receive that? Okay. But its hidden meaning is oh so powerful. It's about receiving. And isn't that what unity is all about? Why do we come? Why do we gather together? We want to receive. That's what Kabbalah is. Come on, there we go. The root, kibbeh. See that Hebrew there? That's an ancient Hebrew word. Kibbeh. We're okay. We're doing good. Receipt. And the great question asked by none other than the famous Stephen Hawking, astrophysicist. Can we know the mind of God? It's about seeing and hearing the divine in everything. It's about hearing God in the babbling brook, in the breeze, and in the trees. This is a Jewish idea. You hear the resonance of God in everything around us, and you develop a sensitivity. It's called kavanah in Hebrew, which means intention or intentionality, but it's the same word we use in modern Hebrew to say I'm going to tune in. Like you tune the radio station. It's tuning in so you can hear this resonance. It's oh so Jewish and it's oh so unity. About how God emanates into the material world. I want to share in just a few minutes the essence of a system of Jewish mysticism, developed, or I should say revealed, by a great Jewish sage in the 1500s, quite a few centuries ago. His name was Yitzhak or Isaac Luria. Great rabbi, even greater than I am. He was born in Jerusalem, and he moved to a very mystical town nestled high in the hills of Galilee. You can go there today on any tour of the country, and you just walk these narrow, centuries-old streets through this town called Tzfat, and talk about resonance. You just feel it flooding into you. Isaac Luria lived in that town. And he developed a system to explain or define what Kabbalah is. And it's just 3 simple points. The first point is called tzimtzum, or contraction. The idea is that in the beginning, here we go. Can we tune it in? Can we tune in the divine resonance in everything? In the beginning, there was only God. That's all there was. There was no world. There was no earth. There was no universe. No swirling galaxies. There was only God. And God, the Spirit, the divine presence, filled everything. That's all there was. There was no material universe at all. Only the divine presence. But God desired to create material things. Ultimately, to create us. And in order to do so, God had to contract the divine presence in order to make room for the expanding universe. That's point 1, contraction. God contracted the divine spirit to make room for the material universe. That's point number 1. And everything was going well, because as the universe was created, divine sparks began to emanate from God, from that divine spirit, and fill everything. Now everything, What is everything? Everything is you, me, the babbling brook, the trees, the breeze, the swirling planets and galaxies, and we're all just vessels. But we're vessels designed to contain the sparks that emanate from the divine. We're designed for that, each one of us. Whether we realize it or not, God is sending sparks into us. And everything was going very well. The universe was forming, the sparks were being created. But wait a second. The sparks are divine. They're pure spirit. And vessels are material. We're all material. And how on earth can vessels, mere vessels, contain divine sparks? They're not designed exactly for that. Think of Star Trek. Matter and antimatter. You know what happens? You put those together, it's a problem. Mr. Scott is an engineer. She's breaking up. I gotta hold them together. And somewhere along the line, something went wrong. That's point number 2. In Hebrew, it's called Shvirat HaKelim, and it means the breaking of the vessels. The vessels could not contain those sparks. Folks, now I could produce lectures, and I have, all over the state of Florida, all over the country, and you know what happens when a professor talks? You know, now what do you say? But you know, I've learned through experience that we're all children, and what do we remember when we do something? The vessels broke. I've been breaking vessels all over the state of Florida. This is from Lowe's. It has a tag on it. Are we ready? Yes. All right. Oh! What happened was that the scattered shards of the vessels scattered all over the universe and landed everywhere, in everyone and everything. Shards commingled with divine sparks. Because Judaism, as much as we recognize the beauty of the material world, we also recognize it's not perfect. It's not always right, is it? Bad things happen to good people. Terrible viruses get loose. Now, what can we do about it? We can pray. But Judaism, especially Judaism, has something to add to prayer. That's point number 3 of Isaac Lurie's system. And it's the most popular Hebrew expression that you hear in every synagogue, anywhere you go to this day. The rabbi is always talking about point number 3. It's called Tikkun Olam. Translates as the repair of the world. We have something to do. Our responsibility, all of our responsibility, is to go out into our world and to identify those scattered shards, those scattered sparks, and by our own good deeds. That's what Judaism is about. It's not, believe it or not, what you believe. Belief is all over the place, isn't it? Don't we know it? Up and down, roller coaster. Your kid comes in for dinner and he says, "Mom, you know, I think I don't believe in God." And the nice Yiddish mama says, "That's all right, sit down, eat your dinner, make sure it's kosher." We'll talk about that another time. It's about what we do. Belief is all over the place, isn't it? Can you have doubts? Sure. It doesn't matter. You go out into your world and you find those shards and you find those sparks. Somebody else came to the rabbi and said, "Rabbi, I don't believe in God." And the rabbi said, "Why?" The guy said, "Well, because why would God allow such horrible things? Plague, pestilence, Holocaust." The rabbi said, "Well, okay, don't believe in God. But if God is so distant, so unconcerned as to not do anything about all these horrible things, you be God. You go out and you make a difference. You heal those people. You help those who are suffering. And you know, if you do that, then God will count you just as righteous." As somebody who says, "Oh, I believe," and then sits on their toes. And that is also gospel. It is also Jesus. We find those scattered shards and sparks. We can't put them back together. We can't. We're just human beings. But what we can do is elevate them. Do our little bit by all the little mitzvahs, we call them, mitzvot, performing commandments. Even as simple as taking care of our own selves, brushing our teeth, using hand sanitizer. That's what it is, right? We can elevate them. And as we do that, they may reach a point where they may find their own way back to God. And that's point number 3. That's Jewish mysticism. That's Kabbalah. Thank you, Isaac Luria. Professor Gear is with us this morning. Can he enlighten us? I hope. Oh, no, sometimes this happens. Uh-oh, where's our audio?
Wait, no. Can you let me?
Yeah. He's explaining how there was, in the very beginning, a big bang. Sound familiar? This is the Big Bang is in Jewish mysticism. The Big Bang. And that the sparks scattered. And it's our job to go out and identify them and make the world whole again. I just want to share very quickly a 5-point program, Jewish program for spiritual growth. Point number 1, cancellation. What does that mean? Well, we did it this morning. When we center down into ourselves, we cancel all the noise and the distraction and the junk outside. Meditation. I preach this a lot to people. I don't feel I have to, but you guys do very well. But keep on. It involves canceling the clutter that fills our minds. Point number 2. You heard of kosher? This is eco-kosher. I love this. Unity, you are already involved so much in eco-kosher. It's the principle that matter matters. There's the material word for it. It matters. Everything in our universe, both animate and inanimate, is in some sense a manifestation of God. So we have to take great care to protect everything around us, everything with which we come in contact. One must not damage the natural environment or cause needless suffering to animals. That's one of the most important points in the Jewish faith. You won't realize. Do not cause needless suffering to animals. People wonder, what's kosher all about? When an animal is slaughtered, for food, it must be done with a very sharp knife in such a way that that animal does not suffer. That's kosher. Eco-kosher. So we're encouraged to maintain proper diet, healthy exercise. I was at the gym yesterday. And hygiene. Hygiene. We're very good at that these days. That's eco-kosher. Point number 3. In Hebrew we call it tshuva, which literally means you turn around and you go the other way. The word itself means return. Now, in English, you hear the word repentance, and we kind of think, well, I'm sorry, and I feel sorry. It's not about feelings. It's not about how you feel. Again, that's a roller coaster. It's what you do. You did something wrong, you turn around, and you undo that wrong thing that you did. Taking action to undo the harm we may have caused others. While everyone makes mistakes, no one need make the same mistake twice. And so at bedtime, there's a lot of prayers in Judaism. A lot of prayers in Judaism. Morning, noon, afternoon, evening, and then bedtime. What do you think? But one of the major things we ask ourselves at night before going to bed is, what did others do on my behalf today that I can recognize? What did I do? Again, do on behalf of others. Every day we ask that. And what trouble, what harm did I cause today? When we recognize what trouble we caused, then we're able to turn around and walk the other way and undo it. Point number 4. Fellowship means that the individual needs someone with whom to be close, with whom to develop spiritually, with whom to converse for at least 30 minutes a day. Not 20. 10. The average couple in the United States has meaningful conversation about 5 minutes a day. This also means developing a kinship within a larger community of faith, right? And my favorite definition of fellowship is a bunch of fellows in the same ship. And 5.5, ethics. Ethics? Oh yeah. Jews are always studying ethics. Ethical principles, ethical behavior, because again, it's not what you feel. It's not about sentimentality. Sentimentality is nice, it's lovely. I was thinking about this in the shower this morning. But it's way more than that. Because you can feel all kinds of things, can't you? But we study all the time ethics, right behavior. And Jews are called Am HaSefer, people of the book. And it's true. The Hebrew Bible, the Torah, as we call it, I happen to have a complete Torah, books of Moses that I brought this morning. It's quite a book. But it's just the tip of the iceberg. Not only do we have the Torah, the prophets, all the writings, the Psalms, the Proverbs, we have an oral tradition. Anybody hear of Mishnah, Talmud, Midrash? 63 volumes of Talmud alone. It's a lifetime. And why are Jews so intent on all this study? To learn how to behave right, properly. And by the way, it's incumbent on the males to study. Men, this is an important principle, men must be trained. Ladies are born perfect. But men must be trained.
Say that
Ladies are born perfect in Judaism. Men must be trained. Oh yes. Ever hear of bar mitzvah? That's what it's all about. You got to learn, you got to study. Years to get it right. So one is urged to carry a book of ethics around during one's daily affairs to read in free moments. Reading is about becoming, which in turn implies transformation. If you need a good book to read, there are a few here by a guy named Hanson. And of course, the best way to get them these days is on Amazon.com. I won't try to sell them. Amazon.com. And you can learn, I've written 7 books now, I'm writing another one. So you want to check those out. And I also have a YouTube channel of videos that I prepared for our courses at UCF. I'm really, really proud of this. Now, we teach online a lot. And these days, we're teaching exclusively online, at least for the next 2 weeks, maybe the whole rest of the semester, we don't know, because of this emergency. But you know, I'm accustomed to this already. The majority of our Judaic studies courses are online. But it's not just, here's a book, read it. No, because it's very important to read books, but I've created videos, like 25-minute videos, a whole series of them. And they're not just for our students. I said, look, we've got such technological capability. We have an amazing television studio at UCF. I mean, it's as good as Full Sail. Really. It's $1 million studio. We have green screens and teleprompters and edit bays, the whole bit. And I said to myself, why don't we make real television with this? And I'm producing basically History Channel shows, about 25 minutes long. There's a musical track behind all of them. There's all manner of visuals, and they can put me in any place in the world through green screen technology. And so I've now created 6 full courses in Judaic studies that I said, hey, not just for our students, let's put these out there. They're on YouTube. Just go to my YouTube channel. Just type in Kenneth Hanson on YouTube. It'll take you right there. I just put out another one this morning, by the way. 6 full courses, including this one you might like, Kosher Jesus. Kosher Jesus. It's a fun course. And you just click on these. You can subscribe. Now actually, I'm over 2,000 subscribers. So I want to add some more today, and I want to share just one more. I told you I posted a new video this morning. I created a documentary in Israel last summer, and we just have a promo that's been developed as of this morning. Are we rolling?
Oh, come on.
Can you launch that?
There.
You have trouble with our
Say hello to the Druze, an ethnic and religious minority scattered on hilltops across several Middle Eastern lands. They face a series of universal challenges that minorities encounter worldwide. How to maintain cultural identity while at the same time fully integrating into the surrounding society. What we found is sure to surprise and to inspire those who value the principles of diversity and inclusion. It's time to meet the Druze.
Just a little snippet of what we're doing now at UCF. This is in ethnic, religious minority living in the state of Israel and fully integrated in society, and I decided to spotlight them to highlight diversity and inclusion and unity.
Wow.
That's why I'm sharing it today.
Nice job.
I want to close with a Jewish prayer pertinent to the affliction that has beset our nation on this day. O source of healing, cast the light of health and well-being on those who have been exposed to coronavirus, those who have contracted the disease, and those, God forbid, who contract the disease in the future. Bless them, protect them, and bring them speedily to full recovery. Bless all who are ill with healing of body, healing of soul, and healing of spirit. Baruch atah Adonai, makor chaim. Blessed are you, O Lord, the source of life. And to this I'm going to add and close with the Aaronic benediction, the ancient blessing of the priests in the temple over all the people. Yavarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha, Ya'er Adonai panav alecha v'yechunecha, Yisa Adonai panav alecha v'yisem lecha shalom. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. The Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you shalom. Peace. Amen.